And look who's back again. You know what time it is. It's time for the Coach and Bro Show. We drop episodes every single Monday and Thursday. We are changing our times, however. 6 p.m. Eastern time. We will drop later tonight. Now, my partner, every single show except when one of us has to miss, like Monday, Big Tommy C stepped in for me. As always, I am the coach. He is the bro, Mr. Vince Russo from russosbrand.com. Hello once again, sir.
Yeah, Coach, I want to let you know it's great to have you back, but Coach, Tommy was burying you through and I kept saying, Tommy, I don't want any part of this. I got nothing bad to say about the coach. He's my tag team partner. Whatever went down between you and him, Tommy, is your business. But I'm burying you, Coach, on the on Monday show.
Do you see this face, Vince?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Do you think for one single solitary second that I'm going to believe anything you say right now? Because I was sent the clips of the show. I saw what you did in response to Big Tommy C burying me because he got his little diamond on driving the line. So don't think that you weren't in on it. I'm not letting you off scot-free.
Coach, remember when Bobby Heenan was one of the great managers? Yes. And all the time they would doctor this footage, making Heenan look a certain way. Doctored, Coach. Doctored footage, Coach. Don't believe. Coach, you ever hear of AI? You ever hear of AI, Coach? I got spun you up on AI.
You wouldn't have the first clue about AI. You're talking about AI. Do you even know what it stands for?
Coach, I was watching this movie the other day. What was it on? I think it was on Paramount, I think. But it was about this dude and his wife was really sick and in the hospital, and he had 2 young kids, right? So he had to hire this like AI nanny to take care of the kids. Uh-huh. Guess who the AI nanny was, Coach?
Oh my gosh, who?
Megan Fox, Coach. Megan Fox.
Now that would be a babysitter I would like.
Yeah, so Coach, about 30 minutes in, he was having his way with AI Megan Fox. Great movie, Coach. Great movie.
It sounds like it. It sounds fantastic. It sounds fantastic.
Yes.
You mentioned Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yes.
And that's where we're going to start, at least his era. And if you guys are brand new to the Coach and Bro Show, thanks for joining us. Like I said, 2 episodes a week. We don't talk about the ins and the outs of Raw and SmackDown and Collision and all that. We talk about the bigger topics because we're way bigger than that. So there's a big event that started in the 1980s, Vince. Mm-hmm. Saturday night's main event. And WWE is going to go retro this Saturday, the first one. And Jesse the Body Ventura is coming back. He's going to be the voice. He's going to be the guy. And he kind of slipped up. Said there's going to be 4 a year, which maybe that's out there. I hadn't heard it. But what do you make of all of this? And they're putting a lot of star power behind it. Cody Rhodes against Kevin Owens. There's actually odds at mybookie.ag. You can bet on this. And I'm feeling like it's big, but so close to the Netflix premiere. Does it feel like it's getting a little bit lost to you?
I don't know if it's I'm not feeling like it's getting lost, Coach. I'm definitely feeling oversaturation. I mean, when is enough wrestling enough, man? There's just so much wrestling on television right now and streaming services. It's overkill, Coach.
I kind of feel like it is too. I feel like that a lot of the executives, whether it's Triple H sitting with all of the, the TKOs and behind all of this, Vince, is the fact that they have so much money to pay back. And that's where all this started. They overpaid for the UFC several years ago. That was $4 billion. And how much did they pay for the WWE? $6 billion, whatever it is. And then they just spent another $3 billion on other things. So when they're sitting in these meetings, and you and I have been openly critical, and rightfully so, everything starts and ends with money.
Yep.
And I know it's a business, but this business, it has always been kind of behind the creativity and the families and the kids and all of these characters. I don't hear any of that right now. All I hear is $5 billion this. And I believe that the oversaturation that you're talking about, and part of the reason they're bringing back a Saturday night's main event and going retro, what are we going to see? T-shirts, graphics and figuring out a way to make money with that. And if they start to go down this road every single time and they forget about the creativity, I've seen no storylines heading into the main event. Is it going to be just a one-off where the storylines that are happening right now on Raw and SmackDown don't matter? Because in this day and age, Vince, this is another show. This should progress storylines. And I don't know that other than Cody and Kevin that I've seen that at all.
Yeah, and coach, who knows how many writing teams they have nowadays, but all of the product feels very fractured. I mean, coach, I think people forget back in the day when SmackDown started, it was a continuation of Raw. It was one story. So Raw went into SmackDown, SmackDown went into Raw, Raw went into SmackDown with the same roster, the same storylines, the same characters. But I think people really forget the history of, why there was a Raw team and why there was a SmackDown team. So now it's like, okay, is there going to be now a Saturday night main event team? I mean, the company is so fractured and it's really affected the continuity. And clearly as a writer, I can see that, coach.
I could only imagine what this would have been like for you when you were in the middle of it, because we've seen several examples of how they forgot when they were taping all these shows the last month. They forgot the continuity. That's a great word. And you had the girls over there saying last night when it was 2 nights ago. And then you had people on a tape show before you taped SmackDown before Raw, and then you had to remember what I said on SmackDown, which comes up 5 days later. It's a really hard thing to do, which goes back to, at some point, maybe less is more. That's not going to happen because of all the dollars and cents. But Vince, they've got to understand at some point, having all of these shows every single week and then adding in a main event, I believe it is too much. Now, the hardcore wrestling fan would never agree with us. What do we know? But if you look at the ratings and you look at how people are watching, I think even the hardcore fan, especially during the holiday season, I would not have put it here. I would have put it in January, but you couldn't do that because then what do you have in January? The build up to the Rumble after the Netflix. So it just seems very convoluted. And if I'm a talent and I'm looking at my travel schedule, I don't know if I'm coming or if I'm going, but this whole brand split thing, it needs to end because it doesn't make any sense now.
Yeah, coach, it's so interesting that you said that because less is more. That was Vince's favorite saying.
Really?
That was Vince. Oh my God. I heard that from Vince so many times. Less is more. And look at where we are now.
I wonder, and I don't wonder it very often because I don't think about him very often. But I wonder how he would have addressed this whole situation if, and we haven't even talked about NXT, by the way. Like, we haven't even brought up NXT. And that show the other day, I always go through social media, see how people are reacting to it. That had a very negative twinge to it, too. I think sometimes when you get saturated and you get worn out, the natural thing to do for fans is to complain or to say, it's not getting me going. And I think that's where we are right now. The other part of main event before, and we've got several topics to get into. I know you've seen this video, and the fact that Triple H is in all these videos promoting the shows is hilarious to me because he's not even on the show. But that speaks to his ego, and that's fine. We all have egos. But they did this video that you can see at WWE.com or wherever, where it's him and Cody, and they walk up to this case, and Triple H says, "Now, this is with those weird fingers that he's got. You got the I can't even do it. One night only. It's only one night, Cody." And then he walks off. Cody opens it up. It's like, whoa, like the yellow light thing. And then he closes it and walks off. What do you think it is? And that actually was kind of interesting to me of all the stuff that I've seen.
Well, listen, coach, come on, coach. We were just smartened up by producer, man. Let's give credit where credit is due. Coach, I know you hardly pay the guy, but so when he comes up with something, can we put over producer man? But producer man pointed out, coach, this is the holy grail. This is the eagle-winged title, coach. Like this is Indiana Jones type situation. Coach, this is I forget what they call winged eagle,
Golden Eagle. I think it's Golden Eagle.
golden shower. This is a coach. This
Man,
is
not
what?
that. It's
Not that.
that.
Not that. All right.
That.
It's not that. It's not
that.
golden eagle, golden whatever, coach. Coach, this is a belt that they all mark out for, obviously, including Triple H and including Cody Rhodes. God, listen, H, Trips, whatever you want me to call you, Paul, whatever. It's a prop, H, Trips. The belt is a prop, bro. That's it. It's a prop.
Vince, how many times have you been scolded?
You got me up to a 9. I'm trying to stay at the 3.
You have me at a 9 right now.
Yeah.
That may be in the line of the brand so far. Producer man right now scrambling for the edit button. You've taught me so many times, and this is where wrestling fans, where there's a disconnect, where they think that these titles are real. When they go, John Cena's 16-time, Ric Flair's, yes, they were 16-time world champions.
Right.
But you could have been a 16-time world. I could have been a 16-time tag team champion of the world.
And let's not forget, Coach. Oh, by the way, they also lost it 16 times. Okay, so let's put everything in its proper perspective, Coach. Okay,
that is very, very true. You're watching the Coach and Bro Show. We have 2 episodes a week, Mondays and Thursdays. We're going to change our drop time to around 6 p.m. Eastern time as well.
Hey,
now,
Coach, we got something that's not on the rundown. I just want to bring this to your attention because things are about to get interesting.
Oh, okay. Talk to me.
Not on the rundown. Coach, I don't know if you know this or not, but the current district attorney, his run ends tomorrow. Okay?
Okay.
Why that's important is because story came out today, the federal government, working under the current district attorney, they just stated their investigation into Vince McMahon and the allegations is over right now because the district attorney is leaving.
Okay. So what does that mean?
That means 2 things. Number 1, we don't know if the new appointed district attorney is going to take it over because that's going to be under Trump now. And we know Trump's relationship with the McMahons.
Mm-hmm.
However, where, as JR would say, business is about to pick up again, the federal government just told the attorneys of Janelle Grant, you can now restart the case. Because remember, Janelle and Grant and her attorneys, they had to put everything on freeze because the government told them, lay off, let us do our investigation. Well, they just gave them the permission to start the case up again.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, and this is just my educated opinion, and we just saw it with Joe Biden and his son. His son was going to jail, and he pardoned him. It would have shocked me if under Donald Trump that investigation continued because Trump, he's going to take care of his friends, whatever. So if they're restarting the case, that means the federal government will not restart their case.
Right.
That means it's done. It's over.
And also now we're going to start seeing names again because now the investigation with the lawyer, her lawyer, is going to pick up again now. So I think this thing is going to start all over again.
Wow. I tell you what, TKO, WWE, they do not want this back in the news. Even though Vince is long gone from the company, a lot of people who are uneducated about the wrestling business, they still think Vince is involved. Right. They still think Vince is with the company. There's a lot of people that don't know. So they do not want this back in the news. Yeah. They do not. But I'm glad you brought that up. We'll keep our eye on it because it's going to be a big story for most of 2025. That's going to be kind of a shadow over what should be the greatest year of the WWE. And you got to believe, knowing Vince like you and I know Vince, this has got to be eating him alive to watch the company that he pushed to the limit now get rewarded financially and not being able to enjoy it nor have creative input. How much do you think it bothers him? And I know he did it to himself, but it bothers him that he is not now involved.
It's funny that you say that, Coach, because as you're saying that, I'm thinking of him sitting back and watching these shows. That's what I'm thinking about. Like, what does Vince think about not just the direction of the WWE, the direction of the wrestling business as a whole? That him and his father, the two biggest figures in the history of this business, to have it change the way it's changing, with him watching from the sidelines, not being able to do anything about it. That's got to be a hard pill to swallow, Coach.
You know, one thing I thought about was he always openly, whether he noticed it or not, he didn't like NXT. Biggest reason, it was Triple H's baby. So he also was the man who ran the territories out all the way back in the day. So how do you think he would have reacted to, hey, we're going to partner with all of these wrestling schools. We're going to partner with all of these places, because to him, the WWE was far and away above everybody else, to now go to them. And I think it's a good thing, for the record, but I'm not Vince.
Yeah.
For Vince to go, we're going to go there to find our talent. We're going to go there to find our talent. I wonder how he would have reacted to a lot of this stuff that he, over the years, has either been openly against or he buried in the process.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Coach. I was just talking to Al Snow today, and like something this small, but I was telling Al, Al, 3 times a show, somebody's going through the announce table. Three times.
Correct.
Like, the announce table means absolute. I can't see that happening on Vince's dime. I just can't.
It always had to be special.
Right.
He always taught us that it has to mean something. And if you're putting a bunch of people through the table, like Paul Heyman was gone for a couple of months.
Right.
That because Paul thinks through everything. If you go through an announce table, a normal person would be out for a significant period of time. Now it's just a bump. Now it's just a bump in the middle of a match.
Coach, he may have been out for 3 months because his tanning booth may have been on back order. So he may have been waiting for the tanning booth to come in, Coach, before he came back. So that's an exception to the rule, Coach.
Okay. Another thing that Vince never would have put up with would have been a severe part-time star. And that's exactly who Logan Paul is.
Yep.
And Logan Paul has been very absent from shows, from WWE programming, and I think he's one of the best superstars that they have. But recently, Vince, on his he's got a very popular podcast called Impulsive, and he was basically sitting back and talking, and he was asked about a return in 2025, specifically to WrestleMania. Here is his response to that question.
The energy is insane, and I'm telling you, in person, the moves even look 10 times more intense than they do on TV. These people are doing things that, like, you shouldn't do to another human.
Yeah. These people. Do you mean you?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't. I still can't believe I do that. I do that shit.
And you got to do. It has to be WrestleMania. That shit is crazy.
WrestleMania in Vegas.
Like 100,000 people, bro.
Allegiant Stadium. Yeah, it's gonna go crazy. Yeah, you should do something.
Are you gonna be back in time for that? No,
brother. Come on, I'm retired. I'm a dad, bro.
He's taking time off.
I'm a dad.
Pops. Yeah.
All right, that was kind of a throwaway there at the end, but he didn't seem very excited about the prospects of going to WrestleMania in Las Vegas. Could be one of the biggest they've ever had. That doesn't seem like a guy to me that is coming back in a major way. You?
I think it was kind of no selling, Coach. I think he might be working. Because my first thing, Coach, I was thinking about, like, a lot of things that you've said about, how Endeavor is with the money, and, we spent a lot. We got to make it back. We've talked about Becky Lynch. Maybe they don't want to pay her. So that was like my first thought. Is Logan Paul maybe asking for a little bit more than they're willing to pay at this point? However, when I heard him put WWE over, and I heard him put the talent over, that tells me that he's still a part of WWE, and he's probably no selling an appearance at WrestleMania.
I think he is no selling. I think he's not retired just because he's a dad, bro. But here's the interesting thing about Logan Paul. Every time he shows up, he has an absolute banger match. Yes. He is as close to a natural as you will ever see in the wrestling business.
Yes.
He also has a gigantic social media following. And the fact that WWE has not utilized him even in that capacity is alarming to me. And when you have the biggest Raw that you've ever had, and it's not close. And you got Cena advertised, Rock is advertised, or Roman's advertised. We've heard rumors that CM Punk and Seth Rollins will go one-on-one. That's a WrestleMania match that you're going to give away on January 6th. But at no point has Logan Paul been featured, been tweeting, been focused on this at all. To me, that is a gigantic mistake. It's free advertising, and he's got millions and millions and millions of followers. So that gives me a little bit of pause as to why they're not engaging with him.
Yeah, Coach, that's a great point. Absolutely 1000%. I mean, with his following, if he was a part of this show, he could promote it as well. I don't know, Coach. You know, I mean, we see his product placement these days in the middle of the ring. Like, there definitely is an ongoing relationship there. So that's why that doesn't make any sense that he's not a part of all these things coming up.
And I always think back to the things Vince would do and the things he would do if it made money and if it made sense. He could overlook a lot of stuff. And so is that still the case that they can say Prime, which is making $1 gazillion right now? So Logan is making plenty of money. It allows him to do what he wants to do. But I also thought, how would Vince react to his deal? Because when I came back in 2018, I was very upfront, Vince, and I said, hey, listen, I really want to be a part of the golf world. There's not a lot of minorities at the highest level. I think I can make a difference. And you and I, the reason we connect a lot is because we're at a point in our lives that we don't care about the nonsense. We want to do good work. We want to be honest. We want to do things that matter, right? Mm-hmm. Ironically, we're in the wrestling business. However, I said I want to stay in golf and I want to do Raw. And you see now you got Tessitore. He's a big-time college football guy. I said we can make both of these things work. No problem. We got you, Coach. So I missed my first one. I kind of felt a different way when I came back. I missed the second one, Vince, and I had only missed one show in 10 years, my first run. So I made 519 out of 520 shows. So I missed 2. I get yanked off Raw. Get yanked off, and Michael Cole called me and said, hey, you're going to be on the Sunday night show once a month. Your money doesn't change. Hey, sounds great until COVID hits. And then who's the first one on the chopping block? Me.
Yeah.
So to think about Logan Paul, who is an incredible performer, getting signed to a deal where basically he's dictating the terms because we haven't seen him for months.
Right.
How can you imagine Vince signing off on a deal like that? It was either all or nothing. Either you're a full-timer or that's it.
Yeah, Coach, I remember vividly when, Austin started really getting over. And remember, they used to use Austin for guest spots on Nash Bridges. Remember that?
Yes, I do. Yes.
They wanted to make Austin a weekly character. And the money was astronomical, and Austin wanted to do it. And I remember, Vince, when Austin wanted to put that Hollywood horse in front of the WWE, exactly what you're talking about.
Vince does not believe that stars outside of the WWE were stars within the side of the WWE. Right. And I remember I had a conversation with The Rock early on when there were rumblings, you know, when you're shooting something and you're standing around for 30 or 40 minutes, shoot one thing. So we were talking, and he basically was saying, I'm leaving and I'm going to go shoot this movie. I'll be gone for 4 months. And I said, and it was almost like a foreshadowing, because remember, his early movies didn't make a lot of money because WWE fans turned on him. Mm-hmm. And back then, let's say there's 10 million fans. Let's say half of them pay $8 or $10 to go to his movie. He would have started with $50 million before the movie even gets going. Wrestling fans would not go. And I remember thinking, why wouldn't The Rock come to Monday Night Raw every week and then film his movies? It would take a lot of energy, but movies only take, 2-3 months to film? Right. Film Wednesday through Sunday. And if you're the star, you can kind of dictate those terms a little bit. And I would have thought that Stone Cold could have done the same thing. Talk to Nash Bridgman. Hey, listen, let me shoot my stuff on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I can still go to Raw. And now everybody wins because now everybody's watching Nash Bridges as well. And and at least now I feel like Triple H gets that part of it, because I believe at this level, stars should be able to capitalize on their stardom. And now you're starting to see that. So I'll give them a positive on that. Would you?
Yeah, no, I definitely would give him a positive on that. You know, with Vince, coach, you know, nothing was bigger than the WWE. Nothing. He doesn't care if you had a movie career, if you were an Oscar winner, if you were nothing was bigger than the WWE.
I remember when I first got there, and everybody told me, because I always thought like the Cyndi Laupers and the Mr. T's, and I thought, man, they must be salivate. They're like, nope, he doesn't even believe there should be other stars in WrestleMania. And now you see a few, but you still don't see a ton because they cost quite a bit of money. And now that TKO is running things, you think they're going to pay? I remember we paid Ashanti. I kid you not. We were in Seattle, WrestleMania. We paid her $50,000 to come and sing "America the Beautiful." And I'll never forget. You know how they set the rehearsals throughout the day, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and so she private jet the whole 9 yards. She shows up. She's in the middle of the ring. You know, Vince is standing down there with his headset on. And I remember her going, "Where's my teleprompter?" She didn't even know the first line to "America the Beautiful." Not even the first line. Wow. And I remember Vince going, "We paid her to come and do this." Yeah, not only did you pay her, but she didn't have an entourage. She had like her mother and a makeup artist, but didn't know so what we had to do was cover it with videos of Air Force planes and all kinds of that. But that kind of stuff irked the hell out of him. You're paying somebody, and so now imagine TKO saying, "So we want to pay $300,000-$400,000 to these stars because they're expensive to get them to come." And how much do you think Travis Scott is charging? He's doing the Raw theme, and he's doing it live on how much do you think he costs?
God, who knows? I mean, who knows what they're getting paid today? I mean, I'm looking at these baseball contracts. Who knows anymore?
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine what you're thinking right now. With have you been I know you're a San Francisco Giants fan, but the fact that Soto chose the Mets over the Yankees in that, I saw one fan, Vince, went down to Citi Field, shot a video, and then turned the camera on the neighborhood around Citi Field. He's like, "You're choosing this? This is where," and it's a dump. Around Citi Field is a dump. Did that surprise you? Not to get off topic, but you're my baseball guy.
No. I mean, I thought he was going to the Mets all along. But bro, here's the part that's driving me nuts. They've already got the Mets winning the World Series. Bro, I think Met fans are forgetting something. As of today, Alonso is not on that team. So who's going to protect Juan Soto in that lineup? Alonso is not on that team right now. So he pretty much right now is replacing Alonso. There's no Aaron Judge protecting this dude.
It's kind of like if a big star who's making, let's say $5 million in the WWE, chooses to go make $7 million in AEW. You're like, why would you do that? And out here in California, Soto's getting crushed because he has Scott Boras. So we know Scott Boras has always been that every last dime.
Right.
Well, so we're only talking $20 million apart, north of $700 million. It makes no sense. You could play for the Yankees, the all-time greatest team, in Yankee Stadium, and back up Aaron Judge. And you decide to go with the Mets.
Have you heard the rumblings though, Coach? I'm sure you heard about this and read about this, that there was a situation with his parents in one of the suites. Have you heard about this?
No, it's the first time I'm hearing about it.
Yeah, bro. Supposedly, Yankee Stadium security was really rude to his parents. And that really, really, really bothered him. And that had a lot to do with him not going back to the Yankees. That's one of the stories that's out there.
Well, that would change things for me, but not to the point of changing teams at that price tag. Yeah. I would hire my own security to be in that suite to protect my parents.
Yeah.
So, but athletes are a weird bunch. They really are. Quickly. You're watching the Coach and Bro Show. Every single Monday and Thursday, we drop around 6 p.m. Eastern time, 2 episodes a week. Now, Tommy, for all the good that's going on in the WWE,
you just call me Tommy, and I take offense to that because Tommy was dragging your name through the mud, and I stood up for you, and now you're calling me Tommy. What?
Oh
All
my God.
all
Oh
Italians
my
are alike,
God.
coach?
I
Is
didn't
that what
even
you're saying?
realize it.
All
Or did I?
Italians are alike? All Italians are alike, coach? Is that what you're trying to say, coach?
Well, I handled Tommy this morning, and I'm handling you this afternoon.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm
Okay.
saying.
All right.
My apologies.
That's okay.
I didn't even realize I did that, to be honest.
That's okay, coach.
So there's been a lot of, I know you guys talked about some of it on Monday. As I was flying over Dallas at the same time as that, I guess you call it a press conference, I just saw little ants, and that apparently was the crowd that showed up for Tony Khan and his crew. But there's been some real negative stories coming out of AEW lately. Seems like if there's not a negative story, there's no stories. And this guy, Ray Phoenix, don't even know how to say his name.
Phoenix.
So he put up this tweet about inhumane treatment, and it was like, oh, it's all going to come out. Everybody's going to talk now. Everybody's going to say exactly what it's like behind the scenes. And now all of a sudden, Vince, that tweet is gone. That content is gone. Do you think maybe he got a check in order to go away and not spread the word, whether it's true or whether it's not true? All of a sudden, Ray Phoenix, nowhere to be found, nowhere to be heard.
Yeah, you know, coach, it's a mess over there. You know, like just every part of that company, not just creative, not just on television, you know, the way they handle talent, what's going on backstage. I don't know, coach. I don't know. Is it Tony Khan is trying to just do too much, and like he's not even aware of half of the problems that are going on at AEW? That's the feeling I get, that maybe he just isn't aware of everything that's going on between the Jaguars and the soccer team and everything he's got going on, because man, a lot of people are really starting to speak out. He's starting to lose a little bit of control. And I'm just starting to wonder, how much does he really know and not know about what's going on in his own company?
I think that he has a real problem. And I've had, I won't say friends, I've had acquaintances like this. He has a real problem with being unliked. And he has a real issue when somebody doesn't like him or they say negative things about him. And when you're in a position where you don't have to worry about where your money's coming from, when you don't have to worry about making a living and getting along with people, because let's face it, Vince, a lot of us don't say all the time what we would like to say because we like to stay on the air. We like to keep our jobs. And there's less and less of them in the media these days. And I think Tony Khan, because he's a multi-gazillionaire, or his dad is, that he just has these blinders on, and he wants to focus on everything that is good and everything that is pro Tony Khan instead of dealing with real issues, because his real issues are this. And if he doesn't see it, he's crazy. This is the tip of the iceberg. He may not even have a company, no matter if he had the money to fund it forever. Because if you don't have fans that come to your shows and you don't have platforms to present on, are they going to be a YouTube product in 3 years? Because TNT damn sure not going to stay around, or TBS, whichever one. And I think right now he's like a child that doesn't like to look at the bad things, only the good things. It's like a movie. And I think he's living inside of his own movie. I even saw the Young Bucks this week. I don't know if it was sarcasm or if they were backing him up, but they had this whole social media post about, we did this dumb, we did this stupid, and then like the result of it. And it wasn't always positive. Even the guys he hired, the Jerichos, the Young Bucks, the Kenny Omegas, that were executives early on, really only Jericho is around at this point to even have a voice.
Yeah.
To me, that's alarming.
Yeah, man. I just wonder, Coach, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying, but is he oblivious to the negative? I mean, does he think everything is hunky dory?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Man.
Yes, he does. Because Vince, there's no consequences right now.
Yeah.
And when there's no consequences, then you can ignore it, because he's not going to lose his home. He's not going to lose his car. He's not, to him, it's almost like a play toy.
Yeah.
And it's been referred to it as many things, much less a wrestling company.
Yeah.
And I saw a story on, I can't even remember the site. It might have been your boy at Fightful. I don't know.
Yeah,
But I never take it for truth. But I could see this happening. And I don't even think it was Fightful. I can't even remember where it was. But anyway, that Britt Baker reportedly, and we saw a video of her 3 weeks ago where she's like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. And you could hear her say it standing in the ring.
Yeah.
She's probably, in my opinion, the most talented female they have. And they buried her because of backstage politics. And we know the relationships that are broken up and the relationships of the female that she fights with. And apparently she basically stormed in and said, either use me, push me, or let me go. I could actually see, whether that happened or not, I could see it happening because she's very intelligent. She's a dentist, for God's sake.
Yep.
And she technically doesn't need AEW.
Yeah. Yeah.
That to me is a red flag, whether it's true or not.
Is there a breaking point, Coach? What needs to happen for all this to change?
Wow. I know you won't do it, but they need somebody like you that is not friends with everybody to come in and draw a line in the sand and say, today we're going that way. Yeah. And say publicly, we understand we've been behind the 8 ball. We understand we've been comparing ourselves to the WWE way too much. And we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to do our own thing. We've got great talent. We're going to trim the hedges, so to speak, get rid of the talent we're not using. There's no reason to pay somebody just to keep them away from WWE, TNA, or whatever it is. And just have about 30 or 40 talent and go to work.
Yeah, yeah.
But who else is out there, Vince, that's like you? Bischoff has already said publicly he would never do it. He called it a cesspool, I think was the quote he used, backstage. Those stories are starting to leak out too. If I had to go to work every day, Vince, and I didn't get to work with you or Big Tommy or the crew from DTL, I would be miserable.
Yeah, yeah. And Coach, you know it because we've all gone through this. There is nothing worse in the world than going to a job you hate. Nothing. To me, that's the worst thing, where you have to go, you know, you got to earn an income, make money, and you just hate it. And I get the feeling that a lot of people over there are in that mindset.
And a lot of them that took the really big money, you're also looking at your check. And let's say it's $1 million, which is a ton of money to the average person. We talk about these, you know, because you and I talk about all these big contracts, but $1 million to an American, oh my God, you never see that. You never see that. And you look at it and go, man, I really don't want to risk this. I really want to keep this check. And if they went out of business, much like happened with the WCW situation, all those guys, because they had a parent company that had the money, if they go out of business, it won't be because they don't have money. It'll be because they don't have a platform. They don't have a TV contract, all of that. So they'll still get paid. WCW, when people forget that the likes of Goldberg set out for well over a year, why did he do that? Because it was 50 cents on the dollar if they were to get out of their contracts and go to the WWE. So Goldberg was owed like $6 million. Was he going to give up $3 million to go on the road every week? Hell no. Who would do that?
Yeah.
Who would do that?
Yeah.
And so to me, the breaking point is when they have nobody else to broadcast to. And Vince, the last time I checked, everything they do is a TV production. How do you build a product when you're not doing house shows? You're not doing live events. And right now they wouldn't be able to sell tickets anyway.
Yeah.
You got to have a strong presence in there and not a fanboy.
Yeah.
And that's what Tony Khan is. He's a fanboy, and he loves to be around athletes. And we've seen a lot of people like that too. And when you're like that, normally that does not come with success because you can't tell those athletes no.
Yeah.
And I don't see Tony Khan, either he fires them like CM Punk or he doesn't tell them no.
Yeah.
And if you can't tell them no, Vince, how long is that going to last?
Yeah, everybody's doing their own thing, and that's what it sounds like is happening and has been happening for a long time.
Which is why the likes of Britt Baker, who's very intelligent, has a great talent, and she takes her career seriously, is so upset. There's another female talent, Vince, at AEW, which this makes no sense to me. And I'm talking about Toni Storm. A few weeks ago after the big event, or maybe it's a couple months, but after the big event overseas, she announced, I'm retiring. I'm not going to be around anymore. I'm leaving AEW. And you called it. You said, Coach, she ain't leaving. This is setting up a new comeback. Vince, when you have a company that is so young and you have one of your only over characters. Why would you go through a complete metamorphosis? She showed up last night on Collision, and I call it Triple H light. It was like black spandex, black leather jacket, says nothing, just puts her hand in the air, and they go off the air. What did you make of that?
God, that's really strange, Coach, because that was one of the only characters that was working on that show. It was a unique character. She put a lot of thought into it, and she performed the part magnificently. She was great for the part. I don't know, man. Coach, the only thing I could possibly think of, because it was working, it's not like it was getting stale and we needed to change it. I'm almost thinking was maybe somebody in the wrestling business doing a similar gimmick, and maybe there was some type of a loss. To me, there would have had to be circumstances maybe we don't know about, because you're not going to change something that's working just for the sake of changing it. You're not. And what you, like you said, Coach, okay, we're going to throw on leather and now we're going to go out there and be like everybody else.
100%.
Yeah.
She had everything about her was different.
Yes.
The accent, the hair, the Marilyn Monroe crossed with a really savage personality that worked for her. I can't even imagine, because a lot has been made about the New Day and their turning heel and how well it's been done. And I saw some people talking about Kofi, and even in the promo there, well, you used to be this Jamaican. Well, he changed his character a few times because it wasn't working.
Right.
And he was on his way out.
Right.
Toni Storm's not on her way out of the company.
No.
So what would possess them? Maybe there is a lawsuit we don't know about. But, man, this could be a gigantic mistake if this doesn't work, based off of what she sounds like when she does get on the mic. Because she said nothing last night. They just went off the air. Is she going to lose the accent?
Unless, I mean, is it possible, Coach, that Toni doesn't like gimmicks? Because when we look at that entire roster, who else was playing a character like that? I can't even think of one.
No, I'm just thinking off the top of my head right now, and I can't think of any. Unless
he told her he thought it was too gimmicky. I mean, because it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. No. Man, you're making money, or at least you're one of the few that I think is making money.
Yeah.
Man, I always go to what do the other females on the show think about it? Because when you do this sort of thing, you've got to miss a lot of TV time. And what have we been taught in the last several years? If you miss TV time, you're either on the outs or you are very favored. Yeah. And it's usually you're on the outs. Yeah. Because when you have to grind week in and week out, how much did you hate going to the airplane after a couple of years?
It still affects me to this day, Coach. You gotta pry me out of this house. To this day, it still affects me.
I really do enjoy. There's parts of this new media and being able to get. When I was at ESPN, and you would have said, "Hey, Coach, in 10 years you'll be working out of the house," I'd been like, "Am I on house arrest? Yeah. Did I get arrested?"
Yeah.
But the new media, you have to evolve and you have to pivot. And thank God I found you. And you found it, because we have other projects, but this is kind of like my anchor every week. I enjoy it so much because dealing with intelligent people and not the cesspool that I see on social media is so nice. It's so nice. But, man, I had nightmares for about 6 months to a year. I would wake up in the middle of the night and I wouldn't know where I was. My heart would be beating because we saw people get fired for missing flights. And not getting to we're every single week, and you're going to fire me because I missed a plane or something happened or whatever. And that's the world that we lived in, and you lived in it too.
Yep.
And so it's not as bad now, but the panic attacks used to be unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I just never talked about it because I didn't believe in panic attacks. I was like, so people are lying. It doesn't really. It happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And then the flip side,
even like Coach, I'm like you too, and we have to ask, like, are we this way because of working there? I think it's a little different with you because you had a long, great career at ESPN. But man, Coach, I got to tell you, like, I'm going to be 64 next month, and like I still can't stop working nonstop. Like I can't stop. And I don't know if it's just, working with Vince and working in wrestling and you got the 52 weeks and it's a new city and on a plane every single week and it's just nonstop. I've been out of this now, Coach. It's going to be 13 years in January. But I still can't stop working every second of the day. And I think it is because of working for Vince McMahon during those years.
I think it's a lot of that. I really, really do. I also think because of the circumstances now that you do not have to leave your home to go to work, that it's a little bit more enjoyable. You also have shows like this that you have a partner in me that even though we bust each other's chops, I have your back 1000%. And that hasn't always been the case for you or for me.
Yeah.
And so you have people that you can trust now.
Yeah.
And then I also call it the Bobby Bowden situation, the old coach of Florida State. He coached till he was 84, and I'm going to make you do this show till you're 84, so don't even think like you're going anywhere. But he used to say, if I stop, I will die. And I have the same process that if I'm still going and I'm doing something that I absolutely love to do or moderately love to do, why would I stop that and sit around and gain weight, which is exactly what I would do, and watch TV, which is exactly what I would do? I want to stay active until I can't be.
Yeah.
I just saw a video with Billy Gunn. He just turned 60 years old, and he was asked by Van Vliet. He says, hey, how do you look like this, but how do you stay motivated? He said, age is yet a number. If I stop, I don't know what I would do. And I think you're that way, Vince. I don't think you would know what to do if you just stopped working, because I know that I would not. I wouldn't know what to do because I enjoy it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I like building stuff too. I want to leave a legacy, Vince, and you're a part of that now, that when I'm done in 30 years, that I can look back and say, you know what, after all the bullshit, after all the ESPN and WWE days, after all of that, I built something with some really good people, with some really good friends, and I left something behind. That's my mindset every single day. That's why I'm so grateful to have found you and the friendship that we now have.
Yeah, and it was fun. It was fun because work is not supposed to be fun. That's what I tell people. That's why they call it work. But when work can be fun, that's rare. That's very rare, Coach.
I hope for the AEW people, in all sincerity, we do tend to skew towards the negative side, but it's our opinion on what we're talking about. But as human beings, I have a lot of friends still over there. Me and Christian rode together for 3 years. I love that dude. Whether we talk anymore or not, or talk a lot anymore or not, I don't want to see it fail, because this life is hard enough as it is. Making a dollar in the wrestling business, where else? We used to talk about this all the time on car rides, Vince. We'd be like, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? For me, it was ESPN and into mainstream sports. I was lucky that way. But if you're a regular wrestler and you're I don't know, I'm thinking about a mid-card guy who needs the money, not like somebody making millions. But let's say you're whoever. You're going to walk into a bank. You're going to work at, shift work. You're going to go to McDonald's. What are you going to do if you've been on TV as a wrestling talent and then you got to go into the regular world? That's a hard thing to do. And we see wrestlers struggle with that year after year after year, which is why the Legends deals are so important to a lot of these guys, because 50 grand or 40 grand is a lot more than zero.
Yeah, that's true, Coach. Yeah.
All right. I think that's a great place to leave it right now. Remember, we're here every single Monday, every single Thursday. I want you to have a great weekend, sir. I really, really do. It's a busy weekend across the board. Only 2 weeks remain before we get to the new year. And here at Coach and Bro, we're just getting started. Big time plans for 2025. But thank you to all of you who take the time to watch us every single week. All right. For Vince Russo from russosbrand.com, producer man behind the scenes, always doing his amazing work, I am the coach. We will see you Monday on the next episode of the one and only Coach and Bro Show.